For this section, we're at the bottom of page 11 for section 1.8 about prime and composite numbers. So not too much content for this one. We're going to refresh our memory that a prime number is a number that has no factors other than the number 1 and whatever the number is. So the number 1 in itself. Whereas a composite number is a number that has other factors besides 1 and itself. And by itself, it means whatever that number is. So let's do a couple examples here for our notes. Let's go ahead and list this out as section 1.8. Prime and composite numbers. And we'll put a couple definitions in. Again, just having it in your notes is always nice, so you can read back through it before a quiz or test. So we can remind ourselves that a prime number only has the factors only has the factors 1 and itself. So 1 is a factor and the number itself is a factor. All right. So example might be the number 5 is prime because the only numbers that multiply to give you 5 are 1 times 5. So again, 1 and the number itself. Some other prime numbers, there's the number 7. Now be careful because some people kind of get on a roll of listing the prime numbers and like, oh yeah, there, 3 is a prime number and 5 is prime and 7 is prime. And then they kind of keep going and go, oh yeah, 9 is prime, but 9 is not prime, okay? Because 9, you can make 9 with a number other than just 1 times 9. You could do 3 times 3, okay? So you kind of get on a roll and you kind of begin thinking every odd number is prime, and that's not true. There are quite a few odd numbers that are not prime, all right? It just happens to be that most prime numbers are odd. So be careful. All right, so then you can say, oh, 11 is prime, 13 is prime, but 15 not prime. So again, just kind of think through if there's any other way to make that number besides 1 times that number. All right, so then that brings us to our composites. And our definition for composite is basically if the number has factors other than 1 in itself. Numbers. Okay. So a number that has factors other than 1 in itself. All right, and some examples we said already. We know the number 9 is composite. We know 15 is composite. We know 12 would be composite. 6 is composite. There are a lot more composite numbers than there are prime numbers. Okay. So again, the test is kind of, is there any other way to make this number besides just 1 times that number? I'll put 10 on there too. All right, so they do tell us on the next page. I'm going to clear my screen here. Again, pause if you need to keep writing. And let's jump over to the next page, page 11, nope, page 12. All right, oops, I went too far. All right, at the top of the page, it mentions to us that 2 is also prime. 2 is also the only even prime number. Okay, the only way that you can make 2 is with 2 times 1. That's what makes it prime. But every other even number could be divided by 2 or could be made with 2 times something. So all the rest of the even numbers are not prime. So 2 is the only prime number. I think it mentioned on the previous page, I may have skipped over it, let me go back, that 1, the number 1, is neither prime nor composite. So 1 doesn't fit in either category. So don't try to categorize 1 as even or, sorry, as prime or composite. It's neither one. All right. So now they have a list of numbers and they're going to ask that we kind of classify it as prime or composite. So you would, take a look at the number. For example, we've got the number 40. Well, because 40 could be made with 4 times 10, it is not prime. We would put composite in your notebook, because again, we're not writing in the book, we're writing on paper. The number 19, you can only make that with 1 times 19, so 19 is prime. 51, you can only make that with 51 times 1. 51 is prime. 11 is also prime. 17, a lot of prime in this column, is prime. And 36, we know would be composite because you can make that with the numbers other than 1 times 36. All right. On the second part down here, they're asking that we write the factors of each number and then circle the ones that are prime. So on my paper, if this was my assignment, I'll write it down. This is number 20. And 15 has the factors of, let's see, number 1. We know 15. And we know 3. And we know 5. Then it says to circle the ones that are prime. Okay. Well, we know 1 is neither prime or composite, so don't circle 1. But 3 is prime. And 5 is prime, 15, not prime. All right, so that's what they mean by that. So you would list out the factors and circle the ones that are prime. And we'll do one more. Number 22 is 6. And we know we've got 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. And then our prime numbers would just be 2 and 3. 2 is prime, 3 is prime. All right, I think on the assignment for this, and sometimes I do this, you'll find me give an assignment where I'm going down the column. Sometimes I'll give you evens, sometimes I'll give you odds, and sometimes I'll just go straight down the page, middle column, things like that. So just be aware of that as you're doing your assignment when you read it in your assignment sheet.